Also, I'm a woman in my 30s who got divorced after 2 years of marriage. I'm not proud that I got divorced after 2 years, but even after all that time has passed, I still think it was very fortunate that I got divorced, because it was a marriage that shouldn't have happened in the first place. Of course, I knew that marriage cannot be decided only with romantic feelings. But my marriage was the worst ever. Or talk about my marriage, I have to talk about when my husband and I first met. My husband and I met at our work. I was his boss. Before I graduated from college, it was already decided that I would join a company. And from the year that I graduated, I have been doing the same work since then. The company I worked for was an IT company, which was a promising company in that industry. I worked as a program development researcher. It suited my aptitude, and once I start, I'm the type to stick to work regardless of any project, so I had better results compared to my colleagues and got promoted faster. Actually, in my late 20s, I had already risen to the managerial level, and the team leaders above me competed to have me on their teams whenever new projects came along. That was something I was very grateful for. Then, by chance, an opportunity that would never again come to me arose. One of the team leaders hastily left the company due to personal reasons, and the company couldn't decide on a successor. Because I knew about the work the most, I became the next team leader as the deputy team leader. My husband, who was a new employee at that time, came in to fill the position of a team member position that remained vacant. My husband had only been working for 3 months at that time, so he was just a newcomer even among the new employees. He was always a thorn in my eyes because he made so many mistakes. As time passed, seeing my husband reduce his mistakes with his own efforts, I gradually came to see my husband in a new light. Everyone has a newbie period. However, the more urgent the work, the more difficult it is to take care of such a newcomer in this industry. As time passed, I realized that I'd had feelings for my husband, and we started dating. We got married, but after 2 years, I realized that I had made a mistake, and we got divorced. It was a marriage that shouldn't have happened in the first place, and I'm grateful that I realized it early on. Strangely, at first, he was like a thorn in my eye, but later he started to bother me like a thorn that got stuck in my throat. So I asked my husband for the first time to have a cup of coffee in order to ease my harsh feelings against him that piled up in me like a debt. But I also saw a new side of my husband there. I started to see him as a man, not as a subordinate. Chad, I'm sorry I complained a lot at the beginning of the team. I hope you don't keep it in your heart. I thought we should talk, so I asked to have a cup of coffee. But I also saw a new side of my husband there. I started to see him as a man, not as a subordinate. And at that time, I didn't know anything, so I made a lot of mistakes and wasn't very helpful to the team. It's natural to get scolded. I also learned a lot thanks to that. So Rita, you don't have to worry about that. Thank you for thinking so. In the meantime, I've seen that you have the grit and also have a good working sense, so I think you'll be promoted soon. You can't pretend and ignore me later. How could I? I will be with you whenever you want me. It was simply a meeting to buy him a cup of coffee to lighten the load off of me. But the more I talked to my husband, the better he was. He was considerate of the other person with his kind words and spoke so beautifully. And even though it was not a private meeting, I kept laughing and feeling good. That's how I fell for my husband romantically. And a few months later, after a team dinner, I happened to ride in a car with my husband. Maybe it was because I drank or I was tired from working too much overtime. And I fell asleep, and when I woke up, my husband was carrying me on his back. He didn't know where I lived, so he kept carrying me on his back and wandering around the neighborhood until I woke up. I was ashamed of that fact. So I woke up, but my husband smiled at me as he found me cute, being flushed with embarrassment, and we became lovers rather than a boss and subordinate. Then, naturally, I found out that both of his parents died in a car accident when my husband was in middle school. I heard that his older sister, who was 8 years older, raised her younger brother like her own son. Just around the same time, my mom passed away from blood cancer and my dad raised me alone. So even though I couldn't fathom my husband's loneliness completely, to some extent I knew it. So we cared about each other even more and continued our relationship. Just around the time I met my husband for about 6 months in a secret office relationship, my husband told me that his own sister wanted to meet me so much, so I replied that I would, not taking it very Seriously, are you really okay? You're not saying it's okay when you feel burdened to meet her, are you? No, I want to meet your sister too. It's your sister who raised you so well. Of course it's okay too. It's not burdensome. Rather, I wonder what kind of person your sister is. Really? Then I have to tell my sister right away. She'll love it. And as I said before, to me, my older sister is a sister and a mom. So I really hope you and my sister can get along. I know how you feel. I want to get along well with your sister too. My older sister is a good person, and she went through a lot because of me. I know it's funny to say this, but please take good care of my sister. What's funny about that? Of course I should treat her well. Rather, I'm afraid that she might not like me. Don't worry. My sister likes anyone if I say I like that person. She's like that unconditionally. So I'm sure she'll automatically like you. I was invited to my husband's sister's house that weekend. Because she was 8 years older than my husband, she seemed more mature, but contrary to my expectations, she was a very impatient person and was quite open. And from the very beginning, it seemed like she had a lot of questions about me, and just as I sat down, she started talking first.
I'm so glad to hear about you, so I could hardly wait.
Are you saying you two are the same age? Keeping the same age and working at the same company, it is so nice. I'm envious because I couldn't do that. Oh, then the job title is the same too. Is my brother faster because he's a man? Still, it's nice to have a male boss after all. My husband didn't seem to have told his sister that I was the boss rather than him. So I was a bit flustered at first. But I thought we could tell her later. I didn't want to disappoint his sister by saying that my husband was my subordinate, so I just let it pass. And we finished dinner with a conversation like that, and his sister first asked me to tidy up the kitchen together and wanted to talk more. However, the more we talked, the more the direction of the conversation took a strange turn. except that our Chad has no parents. There is really nothing he lacks. What a handsome face, but head on his shoulders. His personality is very good. It's really nice that you met my brother. Yes. Yes. But aren't you going to get married? I heard that you liked my brother first. Why don't you ask him to marry you first too? My brother is too shy to say things like that. Really? Did Chad say that? Why? Are you not? No, that's right. But we haven't met for very long, so I think it's a bit early to talk about marriage right now. It's been over 6 months. This is it in the world these days. If you met for 6 months, haven't you already slept with him and gone all the way? If the two of you like each other right now, don't calculate this and that and just get married. All you have to do is just move into Chad's house where he's living now. It's because I'm in a hurry. My husband's sister didn't consider other people's opinions and kept talking about only what she wanted to say, which was very unlike her brother. I didn't understand why she was in such a hurry, trying to rush her brother and me into getting married. I felt a little uncomfortable for the first time since I met my husband. However, until then, I was assured by my husband's character, and I thought his sister was just an impatient person who had no malice. I assumed that she was worried about her brother, who was still single, and because she liked me, she must be wanting us to get married as quickly as possible. Then, unlike his sister's claim that my husband was too shy to propose to me, a year later he proposed to me first. I was thinking seriously about our marriage when my father also told me that when I'm approaching the age of 30, if I have a good person as a boyfriend, I shouldn't worry too much and just get married. He said, I wish my daughter would get married as soon as possible to have a happy family of her own. He said, just having a long period of dating doesn't guarantee to have a happy marriage. If you can't make up your mind, why don't you bring your boyfriend home? So I could assess him. I want to see the guy who is making my daughter worry so much. I'm not worried about him. I'm just a little concerned about his older sister. At first, I didn't think much about it, but when I thought about our marriage, she would become my sister-in-law, and to me, she would be like a mother-in-law. But you are not marrying her, but marrying the guy you love. I don't think she should be the objective of your worry. After hearing what my dad said, I immediately felt ashamed because, after all, I got the marriage proposal from my husband, yet I was only worrying about his older sister. Once I made up my mind, I brought my husband to meet my dad for the first time to say hello and ask for his permission to marry me. My dad said that how we felt about each other was the most important, so he readily gave his approval to get married. However, he told my husband to be more understanding of me, since I did not have my mom who was deceased and was concerned about his older sister. We started to prepare for our wedding speedily. Since both families wanted this marriage, our wedding went smoothly without any problems, without any exorbitant expenses. As my husband's sister said, my husband had become a groom officially, and we began our newlywed life at my husband's condo where he lived alone. My husband lived in a small 2-bedroom condo that his sister bought a long time ago. When we got married, his sister transferred the title from her name to my husband's name. I didn't think she needed to go through the hassles to do that, but I appreciated her kind consideration to do that for us. At that time, I had never dreamed that that would serve to trap me so. And due to an unexpected incident, a crisis occurred in our marriage sooner than expected. Just as I was worried initially, it was because of my husband's older sister that I was exhausted from returning from our honeymoon trip and was sleeping without even having any energy to unpack what. His sister came in by pressing on the passkey of our front door into our place without any notice. I was so startled, but my husband acted as if it wasn't anything to be concerned about. I was dumbfounded because it was something I hadn't expected at all. As it turned out, the front door passcode that my husband gave me was the same number he had been using for a long time. Didn't you change your number? No, why bother changing the number? And never mind about my sister. She goes in and out from time to time since it was her place anyway. It used to be hers, but not now. I'm sorry, but let's change the number. Now that we are married, please tell her nicely that if she is coming, she needs to let us know in advance and ring the doorbell. Tell that to my sister. Do you mean it? How could I? This condo was originally hers. Even if it's that true, this can't be. I don't know when your sister will come out of nowhere. How can I live with peace of mind? You don't have to worry about it since she's my family. I don't mind if you give your dad our front door passcode number. If you can't tell her, I'll do it. In the end, I stubbornly changed our front door passcode number that day, and even though my sister-in-law didn't say anything, she seemed displeased. However, I thought it couldn't be helped. Thus, after returning from our honeymoon, our relationship started to have conflicts. And from my point of view, it was something that was not difficult and extremely common logic. But communicating it with my husband and his sister continued to be difficult. Rita, do you know that this week we'll have a memorial service for my parents? Yes. It's the first family event since you got married, so you should pay a lot of attention and this. What's that? I made a list of the things you need to prepare since it's your first time doing it, so review it very carefully and prepare them well by following the directions there. Start right away. Since you changed the passkey, I'll come on time when the service will start, like a guest. I was flabbergasted before I got married, as I had never prepared so much food, let alone for a memorial service as a family event. On top of that, I had just started to take care of the household chores as a new bride, so I had no confidence in making all those foods by myself, looking at the list she gave me. I couldn't help but think that she was doing it on purpose because she got angry with me for changing the passkey number to our front door. Honey, your sister told me to prepare all those foods for the memorial service, but I can't make any of them. Since you have experience preparing them with your sister before, let's prepare them on the day of the memorial service, you and I together. Are you asking me for help? I have to work late that day? Why do you work overtime on that day when you know there is a memorial service? And it's because of your parents. What do you mean you are helping? It's me who is helping. That's not it. You are the daughter-in-law of my parents. Isn't it supposed to be prepared by the daughter-in-law? And right now, you know how busy my team is at work. I can't help it because we have to meet the deadline. In the future, you would have to continue preparing them. So just think that you are learning and do your best to prepare them. Now I see how much you disrespect our family. Are you acting like this because my parents have all passed away? How dare you talk back like that when I am the superior in this family? Jennifer, do you know you are being very unreasonable? Even if I am the only daughter-in-law in this household, how could you demand that I prepare all that food by myself? I was trying not to ruin the memorial service and researched with a lot of care to order the food. I can't get through to you, really. How could you be in a higher position over my brother? Do you have any connections at work by any chance? Anyhow, start making food right now. Don't you dare let others make the food for the memorial service. You need to put your devotion when you prepare the food for it. No matter how you grow up without a mother, how could you get married without any basic knowledge like that? Jennifer, you're getting out of line to talk like that to me. And you're just ordering me around. Then do you think I could make the food feeling good about it? Since you are talking so brashly like that to me, I'm going to tell you what I want to say. If you continue this way, it won't sit very well with me either. I'm sorry, but I wish you don't cross the line and be respectful. Cross the line. You talk too much when you're living in my house that I bought. Do you act like this way to my brother too? You may be his superior at work, but you are at the lowest in rank at home. How dare you open that mouth of yours at me? Seriously, I couldn't communicate with her, and if I continued to stay with her, I didn't know how I could even control myself. So regardless of the memorial service or whatnot, I could care less, so I left to go out. Because it was the first family event to hold a memorial service for my husband's deceased parents. I wanted to do well, even though I was feeling down while preparing, and just let it pass. But I just couldn't get that kind of treatment from her and stay there. I called my husband as soon as I left the house, but his sister beat me to it, and when I tried to talk to him, he acted as if he didn't need to listen to what I had to say and just told me that he felt resentful toward me and just hung up the phone. I was the one who was resentful. That day I felt so hurt and betrayed that I spent a night at a hotel near my work all by myself. I thought my husband would either call me later or to come get me. But contrary to my expectations, he did not look for me nor worry about me. I couldn't tell my dad because I didn't want him to worry, and I stayed up all night. I went to work, but my husband seemed very angry with me and acted very cold toward me. Did I say I wouldn't prepare the food for the memorial service? I just thought I would learn how to make the food in time, and I just wanted to do it well since it was my first time preparing for the memorial service. Even now that I'm divorced, I still don't understand what I did wrong. Starting from that incident, his sister began going against me at every turn and picking fights on every little thing to go exactly opposite against me. It seemed that she was determined to clash with me. Thus, the more we clashed emotionally, the more I started to feel very uncomfortable around her. My angry husband just blamed me. He asked why it was so hard to get along with his only sister and accused me of trying to create a gap and intentionally separate him from his sister. Virgin. Okay, I said, if you keep clashing with my sister, then I'll just sever my ties with my sister. I asked, All the other daughters-in-law do that. My sister also abides by that for her in-laws' family. It's you, and maybe you don't know anything about that because you grew up without a mother, I said. Never mind, stepmothers. Now that I know, just give back this house to my sister and live by ourselves by severing our ties with my sister. Would that work? I asked. Isn't that what you want? Are you done talking? I asked. You're not a child yet, can't you distinguish what to say and not say? I asked. Don't sever your ties, but just get divorced. I said. I would solve this. I said. No, I have no intention to get divorced at all. It hasn't been very long since we got married. I said. So what would the people at work say? I asked. It would be so embarrassing. I said. I am tired of fighting with you, so I'll just live without seeing my sister. But this house was bought by my sister, so we have to return it. Since your salary is higher than mine, you rent or buy a new house. Do whatever you want. I was so dumbfounded, so I couldn't say anything. Then my husband called his sister right in front of me and said, Jennifer, I can't deal with this anymore. If you don't want to see me get divorced, let's not see each other anymore. I didn't know what was resolved with him. Are you happy now? And went into our bedroom and slammed the door. And I didn't know what was resolved with that, but since that day, we started to sleep in separate rooms after 5 months of marriage. He complained about what more he should do when he severed his ties with his sister and acted coldly at me. And I refused to back off when my husband ignored the source of the problem and blaming me. I felt frustrated with my marriage when our 1-year anniversary came up. Others thought that we were living very happily, but because of my pride, I couldn't admit that I was using a separate room, and I felt I could see how my marriage would end eventually. Still, because it was our first anniversary, I hoped it would give excuse to make up with my husband. Kissing Eftintal Toria, at a sliver of hope, but my husband did not think our 1-year anniversary was that important, and he went out drinking with his colleagues and came home drunk at 3 in the morning. I was beyond being angry, but felt so hurt, and I questioned myself why I was living that way and started to think seriously about getting divorced. And that morning, I thought deeply about our situation. I felt I should just get divorced as soon as possible, but I felt sorry for my husband, who even severed his ties with his sister. I hated to do it, but I decided to ignore it just once. It was my way of trying and giving in just one more chance for the last time. That morning, I wasn't good at cooking, but I tried to make some chicken soup, comfort food for my husband who'd have a terrible hangover from drinking so much. I set the table for my husband to eat and said affectionately, inviting him to go grocery shopping with me. When I reached out to him first as an appeasement, my husband acquiesced reluctantly and accepted it. Fortunately, since that day, our relationship started to improve and we stopped using separate rooms. Even though our relationship was recovered, I still had one worry. It was because of the condo we were living in. If we were going to sever ties with my husband's sister, it was only right that we return the condo to her. But if I proceeded to look for a house, then it would seem that I really wanted my husband to sever ties with his sister. So I was stuck, and I didn't know what to do. In the meantime, the day of the memorial service for my parents-in-law came up. Even though I wasn't good at it, I personally made all the food and took a deep breath, and I called my husband's sister. However, an unexpected scene occurred in front of our door. My husband and his sister were fighting. "Jennifer, do you want to see me get divorced? I told you to never see each other again. Chad, but I'm also the daughter of our parent. I have to participate in the memorial service. I'm sorry, but I'm very happy as of now. It's not as if we aren't having the memorial service. We are taking care of it on our own, so why should you come here? Just forget about me and our family. You should just take care of your husband and his family. We'll move out soon. Hey, no matter what, I was the one who raised you. Just because you got married, how could you do this to me? Also about your wife, is she happy to split us up like this? Why are you bringing her into this? I don't ever want to see you two fight like before ever again. I also don't want to get divorced. So please try to understand. Rita, honey, let's go inside." I felt so uncomfortable. That day, his sister couldn't come into our house. Then I felt guilty and felt so uneasy around my husband. The next day, I felt I couldn't help but move out, so I went to the real estate office to look for a house. And went to the bank to find out about getting mortgage loans. Then I found out something I didn't know anything about. There was a loan in my name without my knowledge. The amount was over $50,000. I was so shocked, so I reported to the police immediately. However, it turned out that the person who used my name illegally was my husband's sister. She used the master key to override the passkey of our front door and came in to steal my ID and took out a loan so blatantly. Jennifer, are you out of your mind? This is a crime. Where did you spend the money? It's all your fault. When you made my brother sever his ties with me while you were living in my house, I resented you, so I did that. You're the one who is the cause of that. How could you say that? I won't let this go. Why not? Even though I used your name to get the loan, it is less than the cost of my place where you are living, isn't it? Is that right? Then it's okay if I sell this house and pay off the loan that you took out in my name, right? I didn't even know and I was feeling bad that Chad severed his ties with you because of me. I'll tell Chad about this right away. Rita, I'm sorry. Okay, I was wrong. So don't move out and just live in that house. I won't see my brother anymore. So please don't tell my brother. Please, I'm sorry. I felt so frustrated and didn't know what to do. Truthfully, like my sister-in-law said, I didn't want to tell my husband and create another havoc in the house. So I considered as if I got a loan on Jennifer's house in the amount of $50,000 and gave up moving out. But a month later, I found out something horrendous. That day, I didn't feel well, so I took one day off from work. And I saw my husband's phone that he had forgotten to take with him to work. At first, I thought about taking the phone to his work, and I saw a text message popped up that was sent by his sister. That wasn't your wife feigning her illness? Is it okay to leave the phone at home? What if your wife sees it? It's okay. I put my phone on silent so it won't ring. Also, she never pays any attention to my phone, so don't worry. I read the text messages that were sent to me by mistake by my sister-in-law. I found out that my husband faked his severing ties with his sister. She really believed that you severed your ties with me. Of course, we did put on a believable act. Be careful and don't get caught. Pretty soon, she'll give in. You keep acting as if you are begging me, okay? Okay, but didn't she say anything to you about the bank? Bank? No, she didn't say that. Why? Well, you said that since you're severing your ties with me, you'll be giving back my house. So I wondered if she was looking for any mortgage loans or something. She didn't say anything. Stays. She doesn't say much. I don't know what she's scheming. Even if you buy a new house, make sure the loan is in your wife's name, but get the title in your name. I want to do that too, but you know her personality. If the title is in my name, I have to get the loan in my name. The house should be in the name of the head of the household. In that case, tell her to get some personal loans and give it to you. Okay, I'll take care of it. You just wait. I could see my husband and his sister were taking me for a fool. His sister must have done identity theft to get the loan without her brother's knowledge, and she was coaxing me not to move and stay in her house. Anyhow, it was clear that they were faking their relationship and were communicating every day. I was angry that I was lied to, and I couldn't forgive his sister's unbelievable act, so I couldn't help but bring down those two to their ends. So I left a message for both of them. You must have worked very hard trying to pretend to act behind me. Thanks for leaving the proof that is now in my phone. So, since Jennifer stole my identity to get a loan in my name, I'll take this to start the divorce proceedings. And Jennifer, it would be unfair to have this fact by myself, so also let your husband know about this. Who knows? Just like what you have done to me, you could also do it to your husband, right? Even if I get a divorce, I should warn your husband too. I should warn your husband to be careful. I'll see you two in court. I'll try to get everything as much as I could. As soon as I sent that message, my husband called me from the company's phone, but I didn't answer. His sister also called me immediately, but again, I didn't answer. I went straight to the police to report the identity theft by his sister. And I also went directly to an attorney's office and hired an attorney to handle my divorce. When one gets angry, one forgets even being sick, and I forgot all about feeling sick, and I was just blinded by fury to get my vengeance against those two who schemed behind my back. At first, it was just a simple conflict with the in-laws, but it ended with lies and crimes. I couldn't let it go. When my father heard about it, he too said that it was so unbelievable, and he blamed himself for misjudging my husband's character, which made me even angrier, and I couldn't forgive myself as well. As my husband and his sister, when I took care of all the procedures, my husband called me the next day. He said he would give me a divorce readily, but asked me not to make it big. He said he didn't know that his sister had illegally gotten a loan forging my name, and he was really going to sever his ties with his sister. Since I fell victim to his sister's illegal act, he said he would return the money even if he had to sell the house or get a loan. He wanted the divorce by mutual agreement rather than have a trial in court. However, it wasn't just money, but I had a deep wound in my heart that I couldn't let it pass just like that. I refused my husband's proposal. I didn't plan on it on purpose, but through someone close to me. The rumors about the reasons for my divorce spread throughout our workplace instantaneously. Thus, my husband had to divorce me, had to compensate me, and had to resign from the company because he was so ashamed. And of course, he had to because I was there at work. And he couldn't measure how far the rumors would spread, so it was expected that he would have to quit. What was so shocking was his sister coming to see me at work to beg for my forgiveness and pleaded with me to help her because she was facing a divorce herself, and she put me in a very awkward position at work when everyone was watching us. Before she came over, I'd had a chance to talk to her husband, and I found out from talking with him that she had confessed everything to him, and he was on my side. She told me that he was really an odd person. The reason she married me was because she was trying to escape, telling me that her life was nothing because of her brother. Then, after we got married, she claimed that she felt sorry for her brother and didn't care about our own family or about my parents, to do her duty as their daughter-in-law. So, my parents severed their ties with me. Still, I tried to be responsible for her and care for her, but maybe I might have fallen victim too. She demanded so much from me, saying that it was my responsibility as a daughter-in-law, yet she didn't even do her responsibilities, which was very shocking to me. I didn't know how much more her shamelessness would be. I also didn't know why my husband protected a sister like that. Now, it's scary when one thinks about a family. I was able to recoup my money through trial, including being compensated for the identity theft damages. However, the wounds in my heart would last, and I also could not be free of gossip, so I resigned from my work. Fortunately, my boss gave me a great recommendation, so I got a job with a higher salary at a company which was the competitor of my former company. In the end, it worked out better for me. Once in a while, I hear some news about my ex-husband through mutual friends of the former friends that the impact of our divorce was too strong, so he couldn't get a job in the same industry, and he is preparing for a civil service examination. Whatever the result, I just wish that he will live with his beloved sister for the rest of his life and not harm another innocent person's life ever again. There shouldn't be another victim like me again. Putting the painful past behind me, I'm trying to recover happiness in my life, little by little, trying to get along with people and from working again. People say you grow up when you go through a big disaster. Because of that, I'm more careful these days. I hope there comes a day when I could forget my past completely. I've been scribbling here and there, but it seems I could put my past to rest. Thank you for listening to my story. Please be healthy and happy. Thank you. Please cheer for me and write your comments of wisdom in the comment section. Pressing like and subscribing is a big help to me. Have a wonderful day.